Thank you all for being out. Can you hear me okay? Unless we do karaoke out here. Thank you all for being out. You remind me, thank you for your introduction, because it was pretty death. It reminded me, takes me back. I grew up in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, so our forefathers were people that made this great country. The obstacles and the challenges that they faced. But we were fixers, we were builders, we repaired our own stuff. We traveled across the country. You know the people that settled in this valley, the obstacles they had to go through. The things that they took care of with their own hands. They trusted, believed each other, looked out for their families, their friends, their neighbors, wanted to do the right thing by each and every one. We don't stand for things that don't work. We don't stand for things that are broken. We fix it or we discard it. I supported the death penalty. I believed in it. I thought we needed to get it right. I thought it was for the worst. I thought it was saving us money. I found out all those things were true. Can you fix it? I found out and fully believed that no, you can't fix it. And that's where we'll go into my story and how I came to those beliefs now. I'm realizing of the death penalty and saying I'd like to be lied to. I can't fix it. If it can't be fixed, let's do away with it. There's no use in it. And this is a true story. It's not meant to be a sad story. There's some sadness in it, I'll promise you. It has a happy ending. I am here. To start my story, I'll go back. I am from a small town in South Central Pennsylvania. One in town, some of you may be from one of the towns. The day you were born, you already had a reputation based on your last name. Everybody knew everybody. I went to the same high school my grandparents went to. The same church my great-grandparents went to. And I was in the church choir. I was in the Lutheran League. Boy Scouts. I played Pee Wee football, Little League baseball. I was pretty good in school. Graduated in the top 15% of my class. Upon graduation was 1974. I enlisted U.S. Air Force. I signed up for 6 years active duty. Got stationed in places like Texas, Mississippi, and Georgia, then Maine, because they like to keep me guessing. And they sent me out to Phoenix, Arizona. My 6 years were up. I got out of Phoenix, Arizona. I liked it there. It was sunny and warm there all the time. Great people, exactly like right here. It was a nice time, 1980. I got a job with the U.S. Postal Service. I had never been married. I had no children. A good job. I bought a house. My money was mine to spend, and I enjoyed the toys. I had a Corvette. I had motorcycles. I raced stock cars. I had a 4x, a boat. I also was still involved with a lot of sports. I still played with softball leagues, bowling leagues, dart leagues, pool leagues, and I also found myself in bars quite a bit. That's who sponsored our teams. That's where my problem arose. The owner of a local neighborhood bar came in on a Sunday morning, opened up the establishment, and found his front door unlocked. I thought, hey, what's going on here? Why did my night manager secure the doors? Right away, he made his way over to the cash register, checked his cash register. There it was, standing wide open. The money, things appeared to be in there. It wasn't security. He was concerned why his night manager didn't protect his assets. Right away, he made his way to his office, quick to search his safe. Again, it was open, it wasn't locked, but again, all the things appeared to be there in order. But why hadn't she secured this? And looking around his bar, he said he noticed the stools were stacked, it was clean, the trash was taken out. But here was money laying out in the open. And as he continued to make his way around through the bar, there he found his night manager, Krone, lying in a puddle of blood in the men's bathroom. All she had on was her socks. She'd been stabbed to death. And of course, the police were called. They initiated this investigation under the assumption it had to be somebody that knew her. Somebody that had a relationship with her. And they called in co-workers. Who she'd been liking, who she dated, who she'd been seeing. One of the co-workers mentioned my name. I lived down the road about a mile from there. The bar was actually between the post office where I worked and my house. It was about 1 o'clock on that Saturday afternoon. My dog was barking outside. I had a big dog, and he did bark much. When he did, I paid attention. I got up and I looked out the window, and there was 2 men in a suit just pulled up their car in front of the neighbor's house. I went outside and let the dog in. By that time, these 2 men were walking up my driveway. I stepped out and said, "Excuse me, can I help you?" Well, I said, "Are you Ray Krone?" "Yes, ma'am, what can I do for you?" He said, "Do you know Kim and Krone?" I said, "No, I don't think I know anybody named Kim and Krone." He exchanged glance with the man next to him, looks back. He said, "You don't know Kim and Krone from CBS Lounge?" I said, "Well, I play volleyball for CBS Lounge. I shoot darts there. There's a girl who works there named Kim." I said, "I don't know her last name." He said, "You don't know her last name? You're her boyfriend, aren't you?" I said, "No, not her boyfriend. What's this about?" He said, "Well, you're dating her, aren't you?" I said, "No, I'm not dating her. What's going on here?" He opened up his jacket, pulled out his badge, identified himself as a homicide detective from the Phoenix Police Department. Informed me of Kim's death and said he was there to ask me a few questions. was stunned. I was startled. I've been going to this bar about 2 months. I didn't know a girl named Kim. He's telling me she's a murder victim. He's at my house to ask me questions. First thing I said was, sure, come on inside. He said, no, we really need to do this downtown, if you don't mind. Put me in a police car and drove me down to a little interrogation room in the police department. And for the next 3 hours, grilled me about how long we've been dating, where we go on dates, how many times she's been to my house. All the while I'm telling her, look, we never dated. I'd see her at the bar. Sometimes she'd come over, shoot darts with my friends. That was it. During this 3 hours, at one point, they had me take my sneakers off, pass them out to an officer. I got it back a little while later. Another point, they had me take fingerprints and mug shots of me. They had me take my shirt off, took pictures of my upper torso. All the time going back to, well, you used to stay there. No, going back to this boyfriend-girlfriend scenario that he honestly did. Another point, he even had a piece of styrofoam, that white kind of stuff, like an insulated copper cup. Had 2 of them actually taped together. Had me bite into this. Now, I didn't know what was going on. There was no information being fed to me. There was nothing in the news yet. I just cooperated. I didn't know her that well. I don't know why anybody would kill her. I was home in bed with a roommate. I offered everything I knew. I thought it was the end of it. 3 hours went by and took me home. Well, the next day, I delivered my mail to the post office. I came home to my house, got out of my car, and there was the detective waiting. He said, I'm not sure you've been completely truthful with me, Mr. Krone. You want to cooperate, don't you? I said, well, sure. What do you need? He said, well, I need you to come downtown. I need to eliminate you as a suspect. I said, well, okay. And in his car, again, I went down that little interrogation room. And this time when I went inside that room, he slammed the door behind me, pulled out a piece of paper, said, oh, yeah, by the way, I have a search warrant here. And you're going to provide me with a blood sample, hair sample, and cast of your teeth. Now I'm getting a little alarmed. I'm a little agitated here about this. This is sounding a little accusatory. I got the piece of paper. I was able to read that and do it. It was signed by a judge. It said I was required to do it. And at the bottom it said you had 3 hours to take the sample. So I cooperated. I cooperated when he took blood out of both arms. I'm not sure what he's expected to find different. Cooperated when he took hair samples. They do not take hair samples with scissors. It's pulled out by the roots. Different parts of your body and put them in those. I cooperated through that. And they took me next door. They had a dentist chair set up. I had a dentist there, put me in this dentist chair. I had this metal cast filled up with goop jammed into my mouth. 2 casts in my upper teeth, 2 casts in my lower teeth. With this plastic apparatus in my mouth, spread my lips apart, taking pictures with the camera, tell me to move my chin around, to snarl and grin. And all the while I was talking about the history of my dentition. It wasn't always straight, and even at the age of 18, I was a passenger in a head-on collision. I woke up in the hospital with a broken jaw, the mouth wire shut. 6 weeks went by, the wires came off, and lo and behold, the bottom jaw didn't line up with the top jaw. They had to re-break it, wire shut right away. So it was a total of 12 weeks. By that time, I had some teeth that died. I had some gum disease. I had to get some implant types. I had to get some bridge work done. 15 years later, where we're at now, I'm still not biting into corn in the cob. I'm still not eating fresh apples. I was careful with my teeth. Here they were, poking around in my mouth for about 2.5 hours. I was down the road when he took that next door, that little interrogation. Sat down, he'd come up in front of me, banged on the table, said, look, it's time to come clean, it's time to tell the truth. I know you did it, why don't you just confess so we can all go home? Well, that was about it for me. I had about enough. I was mad, I was angry. My honor, my integrity was first of all something I was proud of. I was 34 years old at that time, folks. My friends, my family knew who I was, what I was about. Certainly the U.S. Air Force must have recognized some kind of integrity, honor, trust, because I had top secret clearance for the job that I'd done. Clearly the U.S. Postal Service must have believed in my honor, my integrity, my truthfulness when I got a job as a veterinarian. People's personal mail out of their homes. And here's a man that doesn't even know me. He's called me a murderer, rapist, tells me to confess. I came up out of my seat. I told him what I thought of him, what I thought of the investigation. Why you waste my time? Go find the person that did this. And by the way, your 3 hours are up. I was hot. I was bad for a fight. He looked at me, looked back down at his watch. He looked back at me and said, look, Mr. Krone, I'm not going to argue with you. There's other ways to handle this. Drove me home. Never said another word to him. 15-minute drive, drove me home. Again, I thought that was the end of it. Yeah, well, I found out we even find a way to handle this the next day. December 31st, 1991, New Year's Eve, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Just got out of my car, just done my day at the post office, just pulled into my driveway, stepping out of my car. And I heard a screech of brakes, doors slamming, people yelling, freeze, don't move, you're under arrest. I looked back at the van load of police officers, black and white cars coming up, lights flashing, no sirens, flying up, guns drawn, full riot gear, threw me on the ground and arrested me for murder, kidnapping, and sexual assault, and death. I was taken to Maricopa County Jail. Some of you may have heard of self-claimed Thomas Shook, an American down in Phoenix, Arizona. Made us wear was taken on New Year's Eve. I've never been in jail. Pretty funny, watch that stuff on television. I knew right away I was around a whole lot of people I was not going to like. You know what I was thinking about? Did I lock my car? Who's feeding my dog? I got a big softball tournament this weekend. They need me to pitch. You see, folks, I was stupid. I was naive. I really believed they were out there continuing the investigation and find out that everything I told was the truth. And I'll be out here in a minute. It turned into hours, days, and weeks. So my friends there were coming to visit me. I was a little busted up. You got to get some scraps from the county jail or jail or prison. It can be a dangerous place. My friends were a little concerned about me. Some of the new attorney would send an attorney in to talk to me. First thing I want to know right away, how much is this going to cost me? He said, well, you're looking at about $20,000 retainer, probably another $60,000, $80,000 expense. And I'm like, wait a minute, let me get this straight here. I'm making $30,000 a year at the post office. I bought a house 7 years ago for $50,000. And now I'm supposed to come up with about $100,000 to pay you to defend me for something I didn't do. I'm not going to get that money back. He said, yes, Mr. Krone, that's what it takes. My little country pragmatic mind burst off and said, well, I don't have that kind of money. And second off, I didn't do anything. This will all be straightened out in no time. I was able to talk to my family within a few days of my arrest. I told them not to worry. That wasn't me. This is all a mistake. It'll all be straightened out. Well, again, about 2 months went by almost. I finally got called out to legal visit. A lady came in and set a briefcase down, introduced herself as representing me from the public defender's office. Then she said, her exact word, you've been charged with murder, kidnapping, and sexual assault. You can expect to be found guilty, but we'll fight over appeal. And I went crazy. What do you mean I've been found guilty? I had nothing to do with this. I just started ranting. She got the phone held away from her ear, got me quieted down. I put the phone back there. She said, listen, Mr. Krone, I'm going to tell you something. I don't take that to the voice from the judge. I don't take it from the prosecutor, and I'm certainly not going to take it from you. Hung up the phone, picked up a briefcase, and left. I'd never seen her again. The next notice I got from them was about 2 weeks later. I got a certified letter in the mail. It was from the public defender's office. They cited a conflict of interest, saying they were being removed from my case. They said the next most likely suspect in this case was the victim's ex-husband. They had a 15-year-old daughter together. He had a sleepover for her and her girlfriend. Did something inappropriate with one of the girls who was arrested for it. And they were representing. And they told me in that letter I was going to get a private attorney appointed to represent me. Oh, good, cool, finally, somebody cares about me, somebody's going to do something about this, I'll finally be over with. Well, maybe that attorney would have cared, maybe that attorney, maybe that attorney would have done something, but that day I had to go before that judge and get this attorney appointed for me. The judge would only grant $5,000 payment to the victim. He was going to get paid $5,000 to represent me in a capital murder case. You can't even get a divorce for $5,000. I get exactly what they paid me for. Just 7 months from the time I was arrested, I was sitting in a courtroom facing death penalty. I found out at that time why they had taken that knee bite mark and biting into that piece of styrofoam, why they had taken those casts in my teeth. Because I wasn't there, I didn't kill her. But the prosecution had hired a bite mark expert, let me put that in quotation marks, a forensic odontologist, was hired by the prosecutor who testified that marks on the body matched my teeth, that my teeth were unique as the result of that car accident, that those marks happened at the time of death, and that made me Ray Krone the murderer. Very impressive man, very well spoken, powerful, convincing. Also came to find out later on, he was also very well paid. Billed Maricopa County Public Defender, billed Maricopa County DA's office over $50,000 for his work with my case. My trial lasted 3.5 days. 3 days was the police, the bite mark expert testifying. The last half of the day was the defense. I actually took a stand, raised my right hand, answered my attorney's questions. Okay, the prosecutor on the cross-examination. He said, so you denied killing Kenneth Krone? I said, yes, I do. You denied being CBS Mountain? I said, well, what night? Well, the night of the murder, of course, Mr. Krone. The night you killed her in cold blood. Just started tearing into me. For the next 2 hours, everything I said was twist around, turn around. I will tell you, when I came down off that witness stand, I was so confused, disoriented, almost went over and laid down next to that. It was that bad. Next to my roommate, he was going through a divorce at the time. Most all of his paycheck was going to child support and to young children. I always had a spirit in my house. He also went up, raised his right hand, and answered the question before my attorney. Then came the prosecutor up to the cross exam. He stood in front of him there a minute and said, now, you know Ray for a long time, haven't you? My friend said, yes, that's right. It's been 12 years since we were here together. And he said, Ray Krone's always been a good friend. You've always been there in times of need, times of trouble, looked out for you, helped you out. Back to you, even giving you a place to live right now, isn't he? My friend kind of straightened up and said, yes, that's right. That's the kind of guy Ray is. The prosecutor leaned over his face and said, you lied for him, wouldn't you? Turned and walked away and sat down. Less than a minute's time, he called my friend a liar, a man who raised his right hand to serve the United States Air Force, a man who raised his right hand in that court of law to testify to tell the truth. And that prosecutor just told the jury to disregard him. He's a liar. He's going to lie to protect his friend. The jury was out for just 3.5 hours. Came back and found me guilty of murder. Came back. They acquitted me of the sexual assault. I don't even begin to know how to explain that. The prosecution's theory, the motive was I went to her closing time, helped her close. She refused me sex. I forced myself on her, had to kill her to silence her. That's why he said I killed her. The jury just acquitted me of sexual assault. Nevertheless, at that time, the jury handled the guilt phase, and then they're dismissed, and then the judge handles the sentencing phase. About 4 or 5 months later, I had to go back before that judge. It's a little mini trial. It's called an aggravated mitigating hearing. The first part, the aggravating part, was known by the prosecution, where they argued this is above and beyond the norm, so outrageous, so wrong. It merits and deserves the taking of the defendant's life. And they argued this bite mark was a gratuitous violence, excessive pain and suffering, even heinous and depraved. The bite mark was overimpressed. And the judge ruled, oh yeah, that's aggravating enough for me. They got to have at least one aggravating factor to get a death sentence. And then it's the defense's turn to put on the mitigating. And as you may know, mitigating means to lessen, to soften, to ease, to some people even say make excuses. Common mitigating factors are drug or alcohol impairment, a history of mental illness. Question for you. How do you mitigate something you didn't do? How do you show remorse or regret for an act you never committed? It's what they wanted me to do. It's what they were asking me to do. I told my attorney, I got not mitigate, I didn't kill her. And well, put your family on, your friends on, testify to your good behavior, background. So I'm not putting my mom, my sister, my friends on that stand to be cross-examined by that prosecutor. No way, it's not going to happen. He said, you're going to have to tell the judge that. Well, I did. There's not mitigate here. I said, no, you got the wrong person. I was probably called an unremorseful killer, a monster, sentenced to death. Papers, I was called a snag-tooth killer. I see the order to kill somebody. They got to be a monster. They got to be. We can't kill a human being. We can't kill a person with family, friends, feelings. It's got to be an animal. I'm just a snag-tooth killer of papers. I was taken to death row in Arizona. I was put in a cell the size of most of the old bathroom home, 6x8, and block walls. Steel bars in the front, sliding door with a trap. Had a hole about this big. That's where they fed you through everything, came in and out of your cell through there. And that about a 4-inch ledge on it. That's where you got to get through. And you better be there when they brought the food. Because if it fell on the floor and they just look at you and that, what are you going to do about it? And I can tell you this, I've never got a hot meal on death row. See, they don't let animals, monsters that we're supposed to be, work in the kitchen. Not with all those weapons that could be in there. Oh, no, 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 no. That was prepared in a minimum yard down a ways away, put in carts and wheeled over and sat there until they felt like femurs. There was a cinder block, concrete slab built into the floor, had a mattress pad on about 1.5 inches thick. That was my bed. I got one army blanket, one sheet, one towel. I wrapped my towel around my sneakers after my pillow. I had to make one phone call every 15 days, 15 minutes. I got out of that cell 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday was rec day. Officer would come to your cell. You'd have to strip down in front of them, take everything on you, everything off, pass it out through that hole. They pat it down, check it out, make sure you weren't hiding anything, and then you had to lift and twist and bend and turn in front of that officer, make sure you weren't hiding anything anywhere in your body. The clothes were passed back into you, got dressed in front of them. Stuck your hands out that trap, you had your handcuffs put on with a belt attached to it. You turn around like Elvis fastened to your back so your hands could only move this far. You motion the officer outside, you secure your room there, open up your door, you take 1 step out, turn away from the officer, take 1 step away, and freeze. And you better do exactly that. Don't make any other movements. Because anything else, they're going to construe it as either attempted escape or stalled on staff. They'll grab that belt by your waist, kick your feet out from under you, face plant you in that concrete floor. At that time when you freeze there, they pat you down again to make sure you didn't hide the thing on your body that just got dressed right in front of them a minute ago. And there's an 18-inch chain put around your ankles. Master locks each end. The other officer then comes in and escorts you out. I never had no contact with other mates. You could see him through the cells. through the slots. You never got any contact with their inmates. Your escort walked down the steps, walked out the desert where they had 10-foot squares, concrete slabs, and so high hurricane fencing around across the sides and the top, and you were put in there for the next 2 hours in the sunshine. And maybe, just maybe, I could see an airplane fly over, maybe hear a car horn honk, a motorcycle engine, a lawnmower, a dog bark, anything to remind me of that world where I used to live in. That world used to be somewhere far off. The world that I lived in. My escape from myself. Believe me, I beat myself up in the first weeks. Why me? Well, I hear, what did I do to deserve this, Lord? My mom had said the Bible, and it told me I reunited with my faith. Found strength in the stories of like Job, Jonah, passages out of the darkness shall come light, rejoice in trials and tribulation, for you should find favor in the sight of the Lord. My family and friends stood by me, still keeping me. Now I realized that I'm going to fight this system. I better know this system. I started going to the law library, started reading law books. Actually ended up being asked me to work in the law library. One 120 people in Arizona's death row. I was going over 4 people to get out of their cells in the weekdays. Same stripped down search and everything, and escorted, shackled, went up to the law library when I worked to pass out books and help other inmates. I actually became a legal rep, helped them with both their internal disciplinary issues and also with their cases. Meanwhile, my case was making its way through the Arizona Supreme Court for what's called direct appeal. I have to say, thank God for my worthless attorney, because he actually did do something right. The day before my trial had started, we were called in the courtroom. The prosecutor introduced a videotape made with their bite mark extra, a real impressive VCR, about 45-minute version of how he did with his latest technology and scientific expertise and MRIs and whatever all the other stuff that he talked about on this videotape of how he positively clearly matched my teeth to this bite mark. Again, it was very impressive. My attorney was fortunately awake. He was paying attention. He objected. He said, Your Honor, I've never seen this evidence. I don't know anything about this. It's the day before trial. You can't allow this in. That judge says, deny. And then in a burst of brilliance, probably never again recreated my attorney's career. He actually asked for a 30-day continuance. He said, Your Honor, if you're going to allow that evidence in, I've got to prepare for that. I need 30 days. The judge was consistent. He was the next prosecutor responsible for other people in Arizona with death row. He said, D9, we need to get this trial rolling. Now, this is 7 months from the time that they found Kim's body to the time of my arrest. They got to get a capital murder case rolling? So when the Arizona Supreme Court reviewed this issue, they recognized it for what it was. First off, it was a violation of rules of discovery. As a defendant, you have a right to know what evidence is going to be used against you. You have a right to receive that evidence in a timely manner, so you prepare your defense. You're not supposed to spring it on you last moment. You're certainly not supposed to hide it or discredit it. They said it was a violation. They said the judge was wrong. But just because there is a mistake, an admission, an error, does not mean you automatically get a new trial. Doesn't mean you walk free. Some people say, I got out in a technicality. No, it doesn't have. There are 2 parts. The second part is called harmless error evaluation. This is where they review this mistake, this error, this omission, determine whether or not it would have affected the verdict. Would the jury care? Did it even matter? Was anything about this important? And their exact words in the Arizona Supreme Court was, without this videotape, there wasn't even a jury dismissal case against Mr. Krone.
Say that again.
They said without this videotape, there wasn't even a jury dismissal case against Mr. Krone. They recognized that this case was purely about a bite mark, that this was clearly important and crucial evidence, that it did affect the verdict, and they ordered a new trial. It was a very, very thankful time. But during those 3 years I was on death row, they executed people in Arizona. I can tell you this, weren't none of them kicking and screaming. Oh no, I want to live. Kill me, do me a favor. We all make peace with dying, folks. You got that hanging over your head. Dying ain't hard. People die every day. It's living in hell. It's hard. It's living in misery, suffering, seeing what it's doing to your family. That's hell. Kill me. I'll be fine with that. That's my way out. That's my escape. Get me out of here. We're none of them kicking and screaming. But my folks had come visit me. My mom had sat there, came here, see me shackled, shuffled in, have one hand released so that I could chain me to the table so I could pick up the phone and talk to my mom through the glass. And I seen those tears in her eyes, the cheek twitching. They knew that this was serious. It wasn't going to go away like I thought. The state of Arizona could and would execute you with little or no remorse whatsoever. And so they mortgaged her house, cashed in their retirement funds. Hired an attorney out of California, and what nothing to do with Arizona. And we couldn't come nowhere near the $100,000. My dad worked in a factory, mom stayed home and raised us. But this attorney was familiar with my case. His experience in DNA, bite marks, He believed it. He said, look, just pay the expenses. My trial started in February of 1996. The comparison lasted 7 weeks. And were 500 exhibits produced. 3 bite mark experts testified for the defense. My folks got off work, came out from Pennsylvania second court, stayed in my friend's RV in his backyard for the first time. Friends in Phoenix would get off work and come in on crucial days. My attorney, experienced attorney, who knew how things are supposed to work, recognized we had one binder there full of police reports. We were skipped from 22 to 25, 34 to 36, 42 to 51. There was all kind of gaps in it. Where are these other reports? He had to go through the judge, make a request, and they'll turn over the reports. We ended up with a whole other binder full of stuff. A lot of interesting stuff was in that second book. He charged my family $700 copying fees, they said. We asked for a reward picture. We had a little stack of pictures that were supposedly taken in crime scene. I mean, it was like, I think it's 2 decks of cards. I turned it up. They take way more pictures than that. Your Honor, we need more pictures. This is not all. You got to get the prosecutor to get the police to turn them over. Finally turned them over. Got a whole shoebox full of pictures. Again, a lot of interesting stuff that was in that. They charged my family $1,400. Copying fees, they said. I thought it was offending. You have a right to something like that. See, they knew I was representing myself, that my family was paying for it. They were just trying to run us out of money. But nevertheless, this was a good attorney. He used that evidence and things he found. He found out actually way back in 1992 when they first found Kim's body and that bite mark was on the breast. They'd done a swab of that. DNA was new, but they were a little crime lab was fooling around with it, trying to figure out something. Couldn't get nothing matched me. Couldn't get nothing to help them. My attorney asked them, now they denied they ever did. Well, you showed the police report right here. It said you. Oh yeah, that's right, but we used it up. No, you did, because you sent it off to this DNA lab up in Colorado. Oh yeah, that's right, they used it. No, they did. He'd already been in contact. They still had it. And by that time in 1996, some of you may remember the OJ trial was going on. There was a man named Dr. Blake out of California who pioneered a new technique, PCR, take the smallest amounts and grow it so it's big enough to use. Well, Dr. Blake got that piece of evidence, that DNA, and it was the swab from the bite mark that I'm supposed to make. Ended up in Dr. Blake's office. Dr. Blake proved that, expanded that, tested that. It was something like 1 in 100 quadrillion possibility that it could have been my DNA. It was saliva. It's called analyse 2. Identified as saliva from the bite mark that I was supposed to make was no way possible could match me. Imagine how big that felt that day in the court when you hear that come out from me and my family. See, I was still stupid and I was still naive. I still don't get how the system works. A death penalty case, the most important case a prosecutor can ever handle. That's the top tier. That's the Super Bowl. That's the World Series. That's the one you better win at all costs. You're running for office, your career, your pride, your ego. You win capital murder cases, whatever it takes. I'll tell you how far my prosecutor is willing to go. Prosecutor's the last one to address the jury. Last one to talk to them before they go out to the court. He stood in front of that jury, told them to ignore that DNA, disregard the DNA. Don't let the defense mislead you. That's all they've been doing this whole trial. We know who committed this horrible murder. He's sitting right here in the courtroom. And you as a juror is responsible to see that justice is done for Kim and her family. That DNA is easy to explain. It has no bearing on this case whatsoever. She's a waitress. It was just transferred here by accident from somebody else's glass and bottle. Jury's out for 3.5 days. Came back and found guilty again. As bad as it was the first time, I didn't think anything had happened. I learned about the law, and I knew what could happen, and I knew what you had to do in court of law to have a chance. That burden of proof, that reasonable doubt. And they just said guilty again. And time just froze. It's little flashes, little pictures go on. I've seen the jurors like into tears out of their eyes. The bailiff is still reading off the rest of the verdicts. Voice is breaking up. You can't hardly finish. My attorney's hanging on my shoulder saying, oh my God, Ray, what happened? I can't believe they didn't see the truth. It's not over. I'm with you to the end. I look over the prosecution's side, the victim's family side. They're all jumping up and down, celebrating like they won a big ball game. I'm thinking, well, go back up, stop, rewind this stuff. No, this ain't happening. I'm all frozen. It's just these pictures going on. Then all of a sudden, I was brought back to reality because I heard the most horrible scream way up from my mom and my sister's not sitting like 5 feet behind me. To turn around and see that look in my mom's eye. Mom, don't cry. Amy, my little sister. Amy, don't worry. It's all right. I'll be okay. They weren't just doing it to me. They were doing it to my family. Again, 5 months or so later, I'm before the judge again. They used the same aggregate. Again, I told my attorney I had nothing to mitigate. The attorney said, you let me handle this. Whatever profession you're in, folks, don't take them shortcuts. You do it to the best of your ability. I don't care if you're fixing cars, shoveling dirt, representing somebody's life. When you got somebody's life in your hand, you certainly ought to do the best you possibly can. He said, you let me handle this. And for the next 2 hours, he went over all the piece of evidence that came out of that trial, pointing to someone else. White footprints in the kitchen where the murder weapon, a big butcher knife, had been taken from. Same footprints around Kim's body as a towel floor. They used a type of dust, a light. They actually got a perfect shoe prints that went and bought the exact shoe to fit, a size 9.5 Converse. I wore a size 11. My bare foot was bigger than the whole shoe. White fingerprints in that men's bathroom. The knife was washed, dried, hidden underneath the trash can. Fingerprints on all those areas. Palm prints that did not match me. Hair that was located on the body did not match me. DNA saliva on Kim's body did not match me. When my attorney was done, the judge said this case would haunt him for the rest of his life. He said he had lingering residual doubt in my guilt. So he wasn't sure I'd done this. He said it was hard for him to believe a person in my background could actually have committed this horrible murder. It's even harder to believe that I'm here wrongfully accused. He said, I find that I have lingering residual doubt. That's a mitigating factor that outweighs the aggravating factor, Mr. Krone, and I'm not going to send you back to death row. I'm going to sentence you to 25 to life for the murder. Thank you very much. You're not sure I did it, so he sentenced me to 25 to life for the murder. And then he went on to add on 21 more years aggravated kidnapping, and added 21 more years on it. I was facing 46 years minimum before I ever had an opportunity to release. I was 35 at the time, so you just add the two numbers together. It was a death sentence. I wasn't getting out of prison alive. I might not be laid on the gurney. I'd leave a cocktail shot into my veins in the name of the good people of the state of Arizona. But I wasn't going to survive the 81 in our prisons. Not the violence, the violence that goes on in there. They are run by gangs. Sometimes they're the most dangerous people actually wear badges in there. I've been through riots. I've been stabbed a number of times. It's the way it is. I was going to die one way or another in there. The medical care is usually by people in the profession that can't get insurance anymore, so they work for DOC. There was a lot of communicable diseases went around. They were doing tattoos, they were throwing drugs in there, as you heard. You can't even keep them out of prison. So I was going to die. I was going to live to be 81 years old. My family and friends still believe it. I went to the walls now. Now I'm out walking the yard each day, around the gangs, around the trouble, around the violence, surviving. Every now and then I see in the media on TV somebody be released because of DNA. And first thing I think is, yeah, right on, because that could be me one day. I'm innocent too. And I think on the other hand, yeah, a lot of good DNA did me. Time went by, my appeals were turned down. My family still supported me. They realized we're going to have to find who did it. They're doing whatever they can, straighten together when they can find an investigator, somebody to go look into it. I started thinking every now and then, I'm dying here. Finally, in 2001, Arizona State Legislature recognized the validity and the importance of DNA testing. Most states have a limited window, a limited time frame when you can bring up new evidence after your conviction. You got some states it's as short as 60 days, some maybe a year. But if you don't bring up new evidence in that time, you can never bring it up again. You don't have no chance. They recognize that DNA has to be an exception. This is too important, it's too critical, it's too definitive of guilt or innocence. And so they passed a law now in what's called post-conviction relief DNA testing, provided it was previously on tested material that was that had direct bearing on guilt or innocence and was properly maintained or stored. In my case, we were actually able to find out that the clothing that had been cut off at Camp Krone or the men's bathroom was actually saved and stored by the Phoenix Police Department, the evidence locker. My attorneys were able to get a look at it and took it and noticed on her pants, on her inside of her blue jeans, on her underwear, there were some kind of stains. She'd been stabbed in the back through her clothing. It was later cut off with that knife. And obviously with that butcher knife that was stabbed so hard through her back that it bent the blade, there was a good chance that that person, whoever had done that, might have cut themselves in the core of that butcher knife. They had to have a hearing to get this DNA testing done before a judge. That prosecutor was there. He objected, said, Your Honor, this is a wild goose chase and fishing expedition. It's a waste of the court's time and money. He's been convicted twice of a jury whose peers, Your Honor, overwhelming evidence of his guilt. There's no need for this testing. For whatever reason, that judge ordered DNA testing to be done. He went on to order the Phoenix Police Department's recently accredited DNA lab to do that testing. Now, after all I've been through, believe me, folks, the last people in the world I want to touch anything with Phoenix Police Department. Unfortunately, the biggest liars in my courtroom actually were badge work for the Phoenix Police Department. But again, it turned out to be a blessing for me. The number of fortuitous circumstances and things that had happened for me to be here to talk to you is just overwhelming. But it turned out to be a blessing to me, and for this reason alone. By that time in 2000, it went from 2001 to 2002, but by that time DNA was being stored all over the country. It was a data bank. Only law enforcement agencies had access to DNA data bank. It had been collected from all over states. And it was being saved. In Arizona at that time, there was actually over 15,000 DNA in the Arizona data bank. If you were convicted of a murder or sexual assault, you were required to give a blood sample. So when that lab technician extracted the DNA, it turned out to be DNA on her pants. In other words, it was the same DNA. Compared to me, it wasn't me. Compared to the victim, it wasn't the victim, which was always required by that court order. And I say, you go, girl, because this overachiever of the crime lab technician said, well, I got the DNA data bank right here. Let's see what happened. Plugged it in there and it came back with a match. Came back with a match to a man who was currently serving 10 years since found sexually assaulted a child just a few weeks after the murder. A man who at the time of the murder was on parole for another sexual offense 4 years earlier was paroled to his mom's house, whose address was right down the road from the bar in Phoenix, Arizona. What are the odds? What are the chances? My attorney got the man's name, went over to talk to him. He was 3 months from being released. He was an American Indian. He had a problem with drug and alcohol, chemical abuse, abusive family, growing up in and out of crime, turned to sexual assaults. He denied being there at the bar. He denied being there. My attorney was my investigator was an ex-homicide detective out of Imperial County, California. A very experienced man, 30-some years in the force, very diligent. There are great detectives, great police officers, great prosecutors out there. Thank God I want to work with me. Because he continued to question this man, Mr. Phillips, and Mr. Phillips found came around and he said, I don't remember much. I had a blackout. I remember getting an argument over the bathroom. It's not being at the bar. He went on to say, I remember waking up the next day, had blood on me when it happened. So this was tape recorded. It's called an admission of guilt. It wasn't a confession. He didn't say, I killed her, but he admitted the elements of the crime. So this tape recording, this admission of guilt with the recent DNA results, they went to the prosecutor sitting in death row. He said, let Ray Krone go. He's innocent. Here's the proof. You know what that prosecutor said? He's not going anywhere. We know he did it. We got the bite mark evidence. The prosecutor wasn't interested in the truth. He didn't want to hear one thing about it. Fortunately for me, as you know, Phoenix is a pretty big city. And the Arizona Republic is their major newspaper. A reporter got a hold of the story, and I don't know anything about that. Thank you, Mom, Dad, brother, sister, whatever it was. A reporter got a hold of that, investigative reporter. Within just a few days, it was a front page banner headlines report about how me, Ray Krone, was still serving a life sentence after being on death row. But all the evidence pointed clearly to Kevin Phillips, who had a history of sexual assault, violence against women. I was still in prison. It was very well written. It was very truthful. It had all the facts in there. I guess it was also very embarrassing for the prosecutor's office. Because the next day, by that time, I was in the yard in Arizona. I actually made my way down. The lowest I could go was called a medium yard. Classified 1 to 5. I was on the 3 yard down. We had a little more freedom there. I was called over to the counselor's office. He said, your attorney's on the phone. He wants to talk to you. My attorney said, Ray, how you doing today? Fine. It's our day in paradise. He said, well, what are you hungry for? I said, well, we talk about you, whatever's in the child. He goes, no, really, what do you want? Steak, seafood, Mexican food, or beer? What do you want, Ray? I said, Alan, what the devil are you talking about? He said, I just got off the phone with the prosecutor's office. He just got back from the judge's chambers. They're cutting the paperwork. You're coming home today. What did you just say? He said, roll up, Ray, it's all over. You're coming home. 4 hours later, folks, I walked out of that prison looking over my shoulder wondering, what are they up to this time? Never tried this trick. They fought me for 10 years, denied everything in me or my family ever said was the truth, fought us, and now I walked out. I walked out that day to start my life all over again at the age of 45, to reunite with my family and friends. And also, as you heard, the distinction of being one of the person where had a death sentence on their head, they could be free to prove this. There's a lot of media coverage, a lot of groups have been fighting definitely. I've been waiting for that milestone. 100 apparently is important. And that meeting was outside the gate when he talked to me. My mom told us in the law school. My sister went to Vigil and Dixon Law School, Dixon Law School, in Gettysburg actually, and they had 100 candles lit. They lit up the Coliseum in Rome. And the meeting was outside to talk to me. What's it like? What are you going to do? How does it feel? How do you survive? I talked about the support of my family friends. I talked about how I read the Bible front back 3.5 times. Those 10 years slept with it under my pillow. The reporter back raised his hand. He said, well, Mr. Krone, Given your faith in God, how do you justify leaving you in prison for 10 years? How do I justify God leaving me in prison for 10 years? You answer a deep soul searching question like that. Well, my mind's blank, I'm frozen up. And they're all leaning forward with the cameras and microphones, and something shot in my head, and it just flew right ahead. I said, well, you know, maybe it's not about those 2 years I spent in prison. Maybe it's about what I have to do the next 2 years. I had time to think about it. Maybe that's what it was about. Maybe I was supposed to be here. I mean, be special, but maybe I was supposed to be that one, because you know what? If they can do it to me, they can do it to anybody. If I can go to death row, folks, I'm pretty sure there ain't too many others, any of us that are saved. As I say, I supported that. All this thing about that is not for the worst of the worst. They don't get it right. It's not an eternity. It was the eternity states that have a death penalty. Like Texas would never have another murder again. States that don't have a death penalty next to states with death penalty have a lower murder rate. Well, my gosh, if the people were thinking about why don't you just drive them over across the county line and the state line and kill them over there. People don't think about that. And lastly, what you realize later on, when we're all confused or stunned about, is it does cost way more to carry on a capital murder case from start to finish to lock them up. And another thing is some people don't know about also, death penalty also drags the murder victims' families to a lot more pain and suffering than they ever had to go through in the like sentence block away from that airport. So I do travel and I do speak now about what happened to me. I helped Sister Helen Rejean, I helped found a group of witness innocence through a national organization of death row survivors, both men and women who, like me, have been sentenced to death, later been proven innocent and free. We share our stories with people. We go and talk to legislatures. We are towards abolition of death penalty. There's also things in the justice system that need to be reformed. Work with the Innocent Project. And I'm thankful for y'all to be here. And in closing, I think I just want to leave with this. We are going to have our trials and tribulations in life. Some of us, hopefully, they're behind us. Those difficult times, wonder why me, what did I do to deserve this? I don't know if I can take this, I don't know if I can get through this. When you have those times of doubt, those times of question your faith, I want you to remember my story. There's now 155 million men and women who have similar stories of death row. Find the strength to persevere through those difficult times you're going through. Have that faith and belief that there's a reason you're going through this, for something better at the end, just like Job and Jonah. Stay that course, persevere, find that strength, and come out on the other side a better person. And hopefully, just hopefully, we'll all be